What's up, guys? Untitled Nick here, and welcome back to another review. Today I'm going to be reviewing Killer 7. Now, this game came out back in 2005 for the GameCube and also the PS2. And I played it recently, and it's actually a really good game. In my opinion, it's actually probably one of my top 30, top 20 games. It's that good. It's made by the same people that made No More Heroes for the Wii, both 1 and 2, which is Suda51, and it's just as weird, if not weirder, to be honest. And that's kind of the reason why I kind of like it. And to be honest, this game is really its own genre. It is really weird and really different than a lot of other games. First off, it's an on-rails shooter game where you click the A button to run, press the B button to turn around, press the R button to go to first-person mode and shoot, and when you're running on the rails, you're in third person. And if that's not weird enough, it's also kind of a puzzle game. There are different routes that you can take, like you have to blow up some walls to get through. There's different rings that have different powers that you can solve puzzles, like there's a fire ring to light candles or a water ring to extinguish flames or something like that, and it's really weird. There's also a horror element to it, because game is kind of a horror game too, where it's really creepy, where this terrorist group called the Heaven Smiles is like attacking the entire world, and the government is hiring the Killer 7, which is who you play as, which is Garcian Smith, as has a bunch of different personalities that are the Killer 7. And so the Killer 7 consists of Garcian Smith, Dan Smith, Kata Smith, Kevin Smith, Con Smith, Masky Smith, and Coyote Smith, all of which have their own special abilities, which also contribute to the puzzle element, where Dan Smith can have this like super shot that can break certain types of areas, also be able to kill enemies pretty quickly. Kata Smith can use her blood to reveal messages or to reveal passages, and it's really weird. But and then you have Kevin Smith, who can turn invisible and go through like certain laser beams and stuff like that. And then you have Coyote Smith, who can jump really high and go to high places. And then you also have, and you can also pick locks too. And then you have Con Smith, who can run really fast and like get to a door really fast that you press a switch on or something like that. And then you also have Masky Smith, who has two like grenade launcher things that can blow up walls, and he's also really strong that he can headbutt both a bullet and also a rock and smash it into a million pieces. So yeah, it's really weird, but it's just really fun and actually really fun to play, to be honest. Each character also has their own unique weapon. Like Dan Smith has a revolver, Kevin Smith has a knife, throwing knives. Kata Smith has a gun with a scope that can be pretty useful. There's also Masky Smith, like I said, who has two grenade launchers, but it takes a long time to reload and stuff. And then you also have Coyote Smith, who I forget what gun he has, but he kind of shoots it like in a weird way. And then you have Condi Smith, who has like two UZ guns that shoot really fast, and she's probably my favorite, Condi Smith, or actually I think it's a he. And he goes really fast, and yeah, if you don't know already, this game is M for mature, and if you couldn't tell, just like the No More Heroes series, and things can get a little bit out of hand. The F word is probably said quite frequently in this game, even when you're attacking enemies and you're attacking their weak points, because the Heaven Smiles, they're different types, but they always have a weak point, and when you shoot that weak point, some of your characters' personalities, like Condi Smith and Coyote Smith, will say the F word. So you could have unlimited F words, kind of like Bayonetta 2, where if you do certain moves, she'll say the F word. But yeah, you also get to level up your characters too, so I guess it could be kind of an RPG. It can be set into that genre too. Like I'm telling you, this game really is its own genre. It's kind of like Metroidvania, where that's not its own genre. Well, Killer 7, it's really its own genre. I've never seen a game like this, and it's just such an interesting, and it works so well, and it's actually a blast to play. And so you can level up like how you target your enemies, how you like lock on. You can lock on to like their weak point. You can level that up. You can level up your reload speed. You can level up your shooting speed. You can level up your attack damage and stuff like that. So yeah, in order to do that though, you need to get blood. And in order to get blood, you have to attack the weak points of the Heaven Smiles. And once you get a certain amount of blood, you're able to like transfer it to this one area and be able to use that blood to level up. And the more blood you get, the more you'll level up and stuff. And sadly though, you have to level up each smith, which I guess could be good, but most of the time when you have that, you kind of will level up one smith and stick to that one smith. But to be honest, I feel like all the smiths were actually pretty good. I like going with Consmith a lot, but that was towards the end. In the beginning, I was just going throughout all the smiths because they were all pretty equally fair, and they all had their own different powers that I like to play with. I also went with Kata Smith too because she had the scope, and it's really a unique game, and I can't really explain how it works. Masty Smith was probably the weirdest too. Like, he got the most, I guess, respect or recognition in this game, or like the most spotlight on this game, because later on in the game he becomes the main event in one of the missions where you go to like this circus mission, and he becomes the main event where his reload time goes really fast. It's amazing, and he becomes really strong too. Then later on, you fight a boss, and it becomes something from like Dragon Ball Z, and he doesn't even have to reload. He just shoots his grenade launchers like as many times as he wants, and it's really fast and it's really strong, making him probably one of the best characters in the game at the end. Anyway, as for the bosses, there's like one or two that were a bit annoying, but other than that, there were actually some that were really creative, and there was one that was like an 8v8 where you had the Killer 7 with Harmon Smith, who's like the boss, versus 8 other people, which were like the Power Rangers, and it was probably one of the most epic boss battles I've ever encountered in video game history. And it's a shame that no one's talked about it, or no one has said about this game. It's that good, and it's probably one of my favorite boss battles of all time. As for the final boss, there really isn't one, but at the end, the story gets really weird, and to be honest, I don't even know what goes on half the time. Something about politics or something like that, and it just gets really weird and really confusing, the storyline. All I know is that the Heaven Smiles is a terrorist group attacking, and then some weird reason you find out that Garcian Smith, spoiler, that he actually is someone else, and he's not part of the Killer 7. Like, he has in his suitcase, it's actually something else that's in there, and to be honest, I don't really know what that it was supposed to signify, but it was just really weird, and I was confused, like so confused at the end. Also, the cool thing about Garcian that I forgot to tell you is that if he dies, the game is over, but if anyone else dies, their corpse will be there. And what Garcian can do is he can go up to that corpse and then go back to your last save point and be able to revive him with just spamming A to get his vitality back up. And you can also recover vitality by some blood vials, which you can also use to use power-up attacks, but you can also use it to heal yourself on the pause screen, which I didn't know until later on in the game, and then the game actually got a lot easier once I found that out. So yeah, once you have that, it's pretty good. And also, each character has their own vitality level, so it kind of makes them more equal. So maybe if a character is really good, like Consmith that I like using, his vitality isn't as good. The person with the best vitality is Garcian Smith, but you can't play as him because he's the head boss, and he's the one who I think he's the one who has personalities. Like I said, I don't really know the story. It's just really confusing. But yeah, he has the most vitality. He's invincible basically. His vitality is like off the chart. But then the person after that who has the most vitality is Masky Smith, and it's the reason why he's the best in the game at the end, because of all the power-ups that he gets. Plus, he has the most vitality, which is your HP, if you didn't know. But Garcian Smith does have a good amount of vitality. He can recover it with the blood vials, but if he dies, then it's game over. But if anyone else dies, it's fine, as long as Garcian Smith can get to him. But Garcian has no other powers. You can't level him up, and you have to be really careful with him, because you have to his gun's not really that powerful, so you have to try and dodge the enemies instead of being able to like shoot all the enemies down and get the corpse. So it's really hard to do actually in some areas, especially if you die with like a horde of enemies. And it's also really hard because with Garcian Smith, like I said, it's an on-rail shooter, so you can't really dodge. You have to like be able to like go different ways. Like there'll be forks in the road, and it'll show you like go this way or that way, and you press up or down or left or right to go the way that you want to go. So yeah, it's kind of weird, but it's how the game works. It's probably the weirdest controls I've ever experienced, but it works, and surprisingly it works well. Other than that, the cutscenes and the gameplay itself are pretty good. I did like some of the cutscenes. Some of them are pretty bloody, and but they're probably I don't think they're as bloody as like some of the cutscenes in No More Heroes and No More Heroes 2, but some of them can get pretty gruesome. Other than that, the characters are also pretty good, and once you actually beat the game, you get a new game which is called Killer 8, and you're actually able to play as a young Garcian Smith, who is still just as powerful. He has like this really powerful gun, and it's actually quite a blast to play as him. There's also a I forget what I was gonna say. There's also 2 discs for this game, so it's not really it's a big game to actually play. It's not like that small, and there's actually 2 discs so that you can actually play it. And even though the second disc I don't feel like has that much more data, but you have to constantly switch between the 2 discs, which I found a bit annoying, because once you get Killer 8, you have to go back to the first disc because you have to play the beginning levels again. So you have to constantly switch between the 2, which I found a little bit annoying. But yeah, you have to unlock Killer 8 with disc 2, but in order to play Killer 8, you need to go back to disc 1. So it's a bit annoying, but it's what you have to do. Overall though, I don't really understand some of the concepts. Like there was, like in order to change personalities, you have to switch a dial, which was in the save rooms, and once you did that, there were other dials, but they never revealed anything, and I was kind of confused on them. Like I think there was like a 10th one, an 11th one, and a 12th one, but they never showed it, and it was kind of weird of why there were so many more channels. Like there was the first one, which is the B channel, which is where you put your blood in. Then there's the first one, which is Garcian, then Dan, then it goes on. But actually no, the first one's Harmon, when you're able to play as him, which is only a certain amount of times. And then yeah, it goes on for the Killer 7, and so it only goes to like really channel, I think, 8. So then 9, 10, 11, and 12 aren't used, which is kind of weird. I guess maybe because it's like later on Killer 8, which I haven't really played, but it was really weird why those channels were just blank. Also, there's a really weird segments in it's kind of similar to I guess Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, which I don't know why I'm comparing this game to that, but it's like when you beat like a level, they transition to like the story again, and like what each character is doing, like Harmon and Garcian and all that stuff. So like when you go to Garcian's trailer house, it's really weird. Like, there are these weird noises that play, and it's just so weird and disturbing, to be honest, that it just doesn't make any sense. And sometimes I would just stop and listen to it, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? And like I said, I don't know what's going on in the story, so maybe Harmon Smith is just like going through the different personalities that he has, but I don't really know. Anyway, there's also other characters like Travis and I think it's Izana or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but Izana basically just tells you what to do, just gives you useful hints, and then Travis just also kind of gives you hints too, but he kind of has his own story too, and he's really weird. And I don't know if this was like inspiration for No More Heroes, because this came out before No More Heroes, and if that was supposed to be Travis like when he was dead, like maybe this is takes place after No More Heroes, but I really don't know. I don't know any story elements about this game other than the Heaven Smiles is a terrorist group that's attacking the United States, and the Killer 7 are hired by the government and controlled by them. And I know about the ending, but I won't spoil any more about that because the ending is just so weird, and I just want you guys to experience it if you do play this game, because I highly recommend it, because I feel like no one talks about this game. There are very few Let's Plays of this game on like YouTube, and it's just such a weird and great game to play. Like, if you love No More Heroes, definitely play this game. And if you like weird games in general, just play them and play this game, and it's really its own genre. So if you want to play a new genre of games, to play this game, because it's really just that good and it's just that different. Anyway, I think that's it. So I really don't have anything else much to say. So that is Killer 7. Thank you guys all for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for more reviews right here on Nintendo Nick. Bye.